Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Catrice with BantuCola, and we're doing the Black Business Showcase today with Miss Haley. And I'm so excited because she is running to be. What are you running to be? Tell us what you're going to be doing.
I'm running for State House Representative for District 2 up here in Pensacola, and so it's Escambia, Santa Rosa County. Be a representative in Tallahassee in the capital.
Okay. Now, who are you running against? Can you say that person's name?
Yeah, I will say the person's name. I'm actually running against two people. I'm running against the incumbent, who is Alex Andrade, and then also a no party affiliated candidate named Kimberly Klein.
Okay. All right. So let's dig into this. Tell me why you're running. What is your reasoning for running?
At the time of me deciding to run, there was kind of this dark cloud around politics. I know that we have been fighting really hard for the last few years, and it's been a real uphill battle in Florida. The state legislature they haven't prioritized Floridians at all. So I was like, if I jump in this race, I feel like there's gonna be some new fresh air breathed into like the political space, and we can get people kind of active and excited. And at the same time, I think it's time for me to step into the arena, because I've been doing this for 10 plus years of just organizing and stuff. Yeah,
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of the fact that you're really taking on something that needs to be taken on, and there needs to be more of our voice in the Senate and in the representation of who we are as a people. And so I'm really glad that you're doing this. So a couple of questions, and I know that you're a Democrat. Is that correct?
I am a Democrat.
Okay. So what are some of the issues that you see that are going on that you would like to see us do well in?
Yeah, so the top issue right now for the whole state really is the property insurance issue. There's been things that people have, I don't think that they've really tried to fix it. They've just been kicking it down the aisle for a little while, for a few years. So that is one thing we really have to advocate for ourselves, one. But on the legislative end, we could be legislating caps on some of these property insurance premiums and things like that, and also talking with the people who actually are in charge of those things, like the CFO, instead of just blaming any and everybody that we can. There are like really strategic things we can do. So that's one. Number two, and especially for my platform, is talking about healthcare and making us we want to get really involved. Like I said, advocating and talking to who we have. We have like $35 million that has been cut and missing from our quality healthcare folks. Yeah. And we have a growing capital of uninsured people in the state of Florida. That money can be put back so that everybody gets quality healthcare until we expand Medicaid for everybody. So those are the top issues. That healthcare, of course, is really important to me as a social worker. And I have to plug that I am the social worker of the year for the state of Florida. So I'm doing this from an expert level, if we're being completely honest. I've been in the trenches. And so doing that, but this year specifically for our people, we have to turn out to vote. Because we are the numbers that make the difference. Contrary to popular belief, like we may have smaller numbers, but even when I've ran the numbers for Black people in any party, we are the numbers that can close the gap as long as we are voting, in response to someone who has our best interests at heart. And I can guarantee you that I have all of our best interests at heart.
Okay. So let me ask you about the insurance thing, because I've worked with an insurance agent, and he has been showing me how insurance can be free for a lot of people. They just don't know that it can be free, so they don't even try. So with this whole process of the information that you're talking about, is that because many of them are not trying to get insurance, or is it because there's just no funding for insurance?
There is a lack of funding for the insurance. So what it is that there is a Medicaid reimbursement program that $35 million I was talking about got cut from that program. Also on the federal level, there's a pharmaceutical program where the big pharma decided to change up the way that they reimbursed or worked with our quality care providers in order to match on pharmacy. And prescriptions. And so those two things added up to where they're kind of blocking out other people who could be getting those insurance plans, right? Those health insurance. For the low costs and things like that. So it hasn't necessarily gotten better, but it can get better. We just have to fight for it.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so now you said that you have your degree in social work and you're a #1 social worker. Congratulations.
I am. Thank you.
So let's talk about some of the social issues that are going on, because I know that that's the big stuff, property and everything. But what are some of the social issues that you're looking to work on as well?
Well, one thing I've told people, I like my politicians serious. I feel like we have been so unserious the last 5 years. Politics has been a reality TV show. And so we have to really look at the reversal of this anti-woke stuff that has been going on.
Yes.
Part of that, yes. Let
me tell you something. Okay, I'm a Republican. I'm going to just tell you right now, I am not a Democrat. I'm a Republican. But even as a Republican, I'm just over the whole craziness of this idea that, we weren't woke before. I'm sorry, I've always been awake. I've always been awake. So I'm trying to figure out where that's coming from and why that's such an issue with people that don't understand that has nothing to do with all the stuff that's going on. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think that this highlighted for me in the grand scheme of things is that this was all launched around 2020 or so. It was a little bit before that, right? Because we had this, if we look at the history of uprisings from the Ferguson uprising coming into this thing, DeSantis was I'm putting my foot down, because those people with the woke agenda, aka me and Dream Defenders and all of us, were outside, and he kind of was we didn't want him to get elected. We worked really hard to try to get Andrew Gillum in office, to be completely honest about that. And so he took that and kind of ran with it. And instead of, like I said, prioritizing Floridians, he prioritized his own greed and him being upset that anyone would stand up against him and the things that he was doing. I fully am just the idea of launching out and calling people snowflakes and calling people all of this for feeling the type of way, and saying and speaking up that we are being discriminated against. It is out there. People are emboldened. I mean, I had someone show up to a Zoom fundraiser that someone hosted for me, and come off mute and say, "You're nothing but a nigga." That has happened.
Oh.
I'm still up against these issues in 2024, and those people feel emboldened because of our current leadership that is saying things like, DEI hires don't mean that, we're making you more comfortable culturally and making sure that you are not instigate against or anything like that. That actually DEI means that we're making an exception, and people that don't actually deserve these roles are being put in these roles. That's not the facts. And that's what's been launched. And that's that's who I am going up against, is someone who believes that, and is the person who like launched that attack on our higher education platforms in our colleges. So like thinking about the fact that this is what was at the top of the mind for them instead of the affordability for Floridians, and making sure that we are able to live prosperous lives and thrive, and fighting back against corporate greed, that they're not doing that. Instead, they are being upset that people would have the audacity to speak up and tell them that they're wrong for treating individuals and people that are part of different minority subgroups differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I am. That I'm just like, I'm over that. I'm ready for people to be taken care of, and that's what it means to be a social worker for me. So like, going back to what I was saying, like when I'm looking at the numbers and thinking about people who are affected by things, I'm not even looking at parties. I'm not looking at party lines, because that's not how I work as a social worker. I took the oath as a social worker to speak up for the voiceless and to work with people. I don't stop and ask them what party do they vote with, who are they going to vote for president. Yes, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris, but that doesn't mean that a Trump supporter can come up to me and I say that I don't work, and because for you, because of who you're voting for. I want every single person to thrive. I'm a representative of everybody at the end of the day. And I've lived so many different lives. I just feel like I'm the best representative for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, big tangent, long tangent.
Good word though. Okay, so here's the thing, right? About this whole woke thing, because that is really, like I said, the crux of what's going on. Mm-hmm. If you're in office, how are you going to deal with that? Because you have so many people, especially, and I don't want to use this term loosely or lightly, but you have so many people here, especially on the Gulf Coast, that really believe what Ron DeSantis is saying, really believe what Alex Andrade is doing, really believe what President Trump, ex-President Trump has been saying. So the question becomes, how do you combat against that if you get in office?
Yeah. Well, one thing is, I know that I'm a communicator, right? Even though I've had to work on doing and working on things and not necessarily telling everybody. I was real bad about that. But I'm in a position now where I have set up where I want to continue to educate and talk with people about all the things that are happening as I'm in office. And so if that's holding town halls, but also I've been thinking about what an implementation for a text line, as well as the regular phone line that you have to your legislator is. But the second part of that is, I'm not going in as like, one person that's going to change a whole bunch of things. This is the first time in 32 years that every single seat in the state legislature is being challenged, from state house to state senate. This is the first time in 32 years. Wow. So I do not believe that we're going to have a Republican majority super majority like we have had. I think that I'm going to be able to go in there with a team of people to help repeal some things that have, really damaged and been a part of that whole woke agenda. And so that's some of the things that's at the top of like, how are we working together to do this? Because I think that there's also some bipartisan things around that too. I sit on boards where I have to work with everybody. So I know how to speak with people to get my point across really well, that like, this isn't the thing that we need to worry about. Now, there have been things that were put into place that have specifically targeted, like, Black history, LGBTQ individuals that do need to be repealed. And so being able to work with a group of legislators that actually care about people this time around is going to be imperative to doing that work, to battle and wind back that wokeism issue. I think that part of that, honestly, even has to do with the the 6 week abortion bans, and how I don't think that we should necessarily be the ones that are into people's health care. We need to make sure that people have health care, not that they're banned from certain parts of healthcare that they may absolutely need. Um, so that is part of that, of like, how do we make sure that we're going in and talking as a group, as legislators, but also bridging that gap with citizens that really care about these social issues, and making sure that people know it's not that I'm on an agenda of, corrupting the world, but I just want to also live a thriving life like every other Floridian here.
Okay. So
another tangent.
No. You're answering some of the questions. We're going to take a quick break because we got to pay the bills, but hang tight. We're going to be right back after these messages.
Group economics is about harnessing the strength of our community to create opportunities for everyone. It's not just about spending money locally. It's about empowering each other with knowledge and financial literacy. Group economics is about building trust and collaboration. It's all about recognizing the talents and skills within our community and leveraging them for the benefit of all. Join BantuCola in the promotion of group economics, and let's financially flourish together. When our community practices group economics, something incredible is happening. It's a movement that's changing lives and building a brighter future for us all. Join the movement. Embrace group economics. Together, we can create a stronger, more resilient community where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Because when we invest in each other, we invest in our future. And y'all, the kids are the future. Let's make sure they have what they need. When we come together, we can achieve so much more. By supporting each other's businesses, we're reinvesting in our community. Together, we're making dreams a reality. In a community that's rich with hues and shades, it's time to address a challenge that often lurks the shadows away: colorism. We are beautiful no matter what shade of brown we are. Let's stop colorism. Together, let's break the barriers of colorism and build bridges of acceptance. Join BantuCola, where we're actively working to eradicate colorism. Visit our website to discover how you can be part of the movement where diversity in all its shades are celebrated. Celebrating blackness in every hue by eliminating colorism.
And we are back with Black Business Showcase. We got Miss Haley online, Morissette, right?
That's right. That's right.
And she is running like hell, guys, trying to get into the office. So I have a couple of questions to ask you. So you talked about a few things. The healthcare is one of them, and the 6-week ban abortion. So again, I'm going to say this again, I'm a Republican, and I do have some issues with that whole process of people being able to have an abortion so quickly, so easily. And there's personal reasons behind why I feel the way I feel. One, I knew a young lady that was her actual way of having birth control instead of using regular birth control. Two, I've had a couple of friends that died on the table getting abortions, even with a doctor. And so my question becomes, with the abortion part of it, why is there not enough education about how people can protect themselves? And is that something that you would be able to implement? Because there's to me, we have all of the whole process of us dealing with the abortion piece of it, but no one ever talks about sex education. How can that be implemented into this whole process? Because I'm sorry, and this is let me get on off my soapbox. My thoughts are, if you would like to have an abortion after you've had sex, my question becomes, why didn't you use protection beforehand? Or if you did use protection, what was the protection that you used? Because there's several different options out there. And did you tell the guy to use protection, or did you just not think about saying no at the time? So those are the things that come through my mind when it comes through with the whole abortion thing. I think that you should think about your body before you actually get pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many other things that we can protect ourselves from. Like also when it comes to diseases run more rampant than pregnancy.
Absolutely.
So again, my question becomes, how can we implement sex education, not just to the kids, but to the adults? Because apparently there's not enough adults that don't understand how babies are created. What are your thoughts concerning that?
Yeah. Well, for starters, there is a complete lack of implementation around sex education, right? What we saw that was actually part of this anti-woke agenda was that they wanted to start restricting the schools on how much of the sex education that they were actually teaching in schools. We already have a lack of it, especially us up here in North Florida, where we are pretty much deep South. So our children are getting like the bare minimum. And so we have to go. Yeah. So then we start looking at the restrictive access. So what I'm saying, especially when we're like talking about choices being made with abortion, we want to also pair that and think about what poverty and being in impoverished neighborhoods and such look like too, because that does have its own impact. People that are within that, the public education system is failing them, as well as our healthcare system not being necessarily funded correctly to be able to help with preventative measures and things like that. I even saw that it was floated the idea of just only teaching abstinence only education again, and I'm like, no, that's not gonna work.
That is not going to. I don't care how hard you try. So we were all young, and when your body is going through all those changes as a child, let me hold on a second. As an adult, your body's going through changes, and it's hard to keep yourself together with that. So how can you ask a child who's curious and has never experienced or doesn't understand the whole like idea behind that, to say that hope? No. Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah, so there was that was something that was floated, and I think it was fought really hard back against, but we still got the restrictive measures that we got, including LGBTQ teenagers and adults getting this lack of healthcare and things like that too. So what it brings us back to is that there's nothing that is a border in getting people to the point of, well, now you're pregnant, what happens is, bringing a child into the world. Or if there's any healthcare issues that come with this pregnancy, what happens now for people that have no idea, no clue, and also don't know how to access the resources that are there. We need to pour that money back and go back into it. I think a lot about when I was actually working with trauma services when I was a therapist for a while. And so I did crisis therapy with people after they had been sexually assaulted. And it was right when the ban had happened in Alabama. Our clinic was always shut down. And the nearest place that you could get was really Tallahassee. And this was even when it was at 15 weeks. And so, but you have to go twice. Like there is a whole, you have to go once, you have to have time to think about what it is that you're going to do, and then you go back for the actual procedure. And so even with that, I had someone who was sexually assaulted, and she was like, I can't. I absolutely cannot. And in that case, it was really spending 2 to 3 days of me trying to figure out how to get her the healthcare services she needed, on top of all of the treatment that she had to have, because North Florida STD rates are through the roof because of that lack of sexual education and access to resources that people just generally don't know about. If we get that money for healthcare expanded and put back into our systems, where the health department is able to do more preventative work, and teach people more about their bodies, or let people explore in a way of like what helps to find out, because we have so many adults. I am in the middle of a Twitter conversation that I'm reading where people are talking about, I got cussed out because I asked somebody to get tested. We need to normalize testing so bad. Instead of normalizing, like, yeah, people catch things. No, that's not what, like, we should handle those people with care, because it is traumatizing to catch an STD, right? But at the end of the day, like, expanding the fact that we need to normalize being able to get tested and having access to that testing. I just think about being an uninsured early adult wanting to get tested, and how much it was to like pay out of pocket to get the full round testing. And even in women's healthcare, they don't necessarily test you off the bat when you get your yearly examination for herpes or HIV. You have to ask for that, even as an insured person. And I don't know if a lot of people even know those things. So we want to make sure that, like, yes, that is part of the conversation. There's no reason why we are restricting access to healthcare and preventative measures while also restricting abortion access. And I will continue to just believe that at the end of the day, we can't necessarily legislate morality, but we can get out in the streets too as people and citizens to talk with people and help them make some really good decisions. That doesn't mean us, harassing them or anything like that, but making sure that the information is out there. We can take up as citizens and do our part in that, especially in our own communities, especially.
Good. That's good. So, okay, quick question, because this is something that I'm still trying to understand and learn. We have a real epidemic right now when it comes to crime in Pensacola. And it seems like it's getting worse, especially within our community. I won't say that Black on Black crime is the highest, because in all honesty, any race that has a crime is high. It doesn't matter. But I do notice that more gangs, more things are happening in the Black community. Is that something that if you're in office, you're able to work on as well? Yeah.
And for those who don't know me, my work has really been specifically organizing Black folks. And especially like here, my chapter of the Dream Defenders, our civil rights social justice organization here, has specifically focused on what do we do about gun violence and crime against each other in our community, because we believe in keeping each other safe. And we know that police respond to crimes. They don't necessarily prevent them. So what is the work that we're doing to do preventative work? I absolutely am going into the fact that this is an epidemic. And as somebody, who researches the data and who is on the ground talking to people, it is something that has bubbled up, if we're completely honest. And I can take you back down a hill and a memory wind in a minute, but this is something that comes from divestment from communities. I graduated high school in 2008. The first shooting that I had a close friend who died by gun violence happened the year that I graduated high school. It was the first year after they closed Woodham High School. They closed a bunch of neighborhood middle schools, and they started putting all the middle schoolers together and dispersing all of these neighborhood high schoolers into different places. That, without them they did nothing to help us ease into these schools with each other. There was already this whole thing where we would have fights all the time at football games and at the fair yearly, things like that, because people was from different sides of they were from different sides of the city or whatever. Like, that's what that was. It was foolishness, but it's not something that you don't see even in smaller towns. However, this started bubbling over also with access to firearms. Now, don't get me wrong. I am completely honest. I'm a Black woman from the South. We are right up under Alabama. I love having me a good gun. Like, I have my guns. Everybody else does too, but we know how to lock our guns up. Our kids don't have access to them. We are sure to make sure that they know about how to use them, things like that, right? We're safe about what we have because we're responsible gun owners. And so that's what we ask from everyone else. We came into a time in like that 2008 bracket where that first shooting was the first. That death of that, his name was DJ. He was his junior year of high school. He was actually slated to graduate early. And he was just a neighborhood boy. I went to middle school with this kid, like we were friends. But from there, you saw this continuous rise over the years. And a lot of it had to do with them taking a lot of those education dollars also. I remember when I was in school, we used to actually train. They used to give us training on how to be peer mentors and also how to do conflict resolution. They don't do those things anymore like that. And so we have seen them completely like divest from these different systems that were in place of helping us learn how to deal with conflict, learn how to regulate our moods, but also keep kids interested and off the street. There's a thing around like club culture and teaching teenagers club culture, but we had teen clubs when I was younger. We had actual parties that we were actually able to have, right? Now that is like unheard of. They have nowhere to hang out, nowhere to really go except maybe the mall or something. And then you'll see like these shootings happen. And it is not kids necessarily either. It's not this under 18 group. It's this group of folks that's like 18 to 19. And then it jumps to people that are around my age who suffered those effects from that divestment. I'm 34, by the way.
Okay.
And so we see that stretch, but it is 100%. And there are, there's actual literature out there and research to back this up, that when we don't have the money that really puts us in charge of our neighborhoods or help us clean up or bring us together, things like that, certain things in place, that we continue to see this rise in violence. I really want to be boots on the ground for this cause. And if the people who I am also running with are in the office, they have also took a pledge that they're boots on the ground for this cause too. And that's people like Gabe Valamont, that's running against Matt Gaetz, and Debbie Merkisel Powell, who's running for our U.S. Congress, or U.S. Senate, I'm sorry. Those people I've gotten to have great conversations with them, and they've been active. And, I've been active in also like getting the folks that are the closest to these issues involved with that issue. So yes, that is also I'm like, everything's top of the mind, but all of these things are also connected, right? Affordability, being able to live and thrive also has an impact on our emotions. We can try to put it however we want to. Poverty is trauma, and we take those things out when we don't have ways to emotionally regulate and deal with things. That's why also part of my platform is talking about a collaborative mental health system, and that it doesn't look like just throwing more therapists at the issue, but how are we doing it as a community to work on things and help us get our emotions, our mental health, our stability really in place. This is all part of our public safety. So that is there.
What happens if you don't win? What do you do?
Oh, if I don't win, I'm going to reach out to whoever does win, ask them how I can help. What is it that I can, start getting to work on ASAP? Because I'm already a part of the Escambia-Pensacola Human Relations Commission. I've gotten a chance to really peek into what's going on in Santa Rosa County. I want to be able to help over there. So that is the first thing. If I don't win, I reach out to who does win. I say, how can I help? We all care about Floridians. What is it that I can do for North Florida right now at this position? I'm never going to stop organizing and doing community service. And I don't think we've had a chance to talk about Soul Step Solutions, which
Okay.
is my business, my Black business, where I am working on giving people space to vent. I've added different resources, which is like adding music into that. Also adding in, we have cooking, we have time with Lisa, listening sessions with Lisa, where she'll cook you a meal while doing listening sessions with you. But it is for us to usher people either into mental health and therapy and whatever it is that they need, or as people are kind of being fused out, that they also have a net to catch them and help them. So I am building those bridges and working on those things at the same time. So I'm here, I'm working, and I'm going to run again. So
That's good. That's good. So, quick
Yeah.
question. You said that you're going to reach out to the person that wins. Are you working with Alex Andrade right now, helping him in any way possible, or is he letting you help him?
At this time, no, not necessarily. But I will say this: when we've came in contact with each other and we've had discussions, I'm like, Alex, we can disagree on these certain things, but at the same time, like, what you say is that you care about Floridians. Let me help you care. And so I think that he's actually going to be really open. This is his last term. I don't know who they're preparing to take his seat, but I'm prepared to go in as necessary, regardless of what party I'm part of. I'm hoping that it's that we all have finally gotten our priorities straight, and this year was a wake-up call for that. So we're going to see, like I said, I'm already on housing, discrimination, and also on community relations, so government relations with civilians and things like that. So hopefully we could expand my role in that. My ask is actually that maybe I get appointed to a statewide role within the Human Relations Commission. So we will see.
That's good. One more question, and after this, I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
So, right now, we're dealing with some issues when it comes to food. The cost of it. I mean, you might as well say that's a house note right there. In many cases,
It is.
Go grocery shopping. So, how can that be rectified right now within the community? And is there something that you can do as a person that will be in office?
Yeah. So one, like at this moment right now, there are amazing food shares that are happening all the time. And I don't think that they get enough of being people, it's not publicized enough. So we need to start working on getting a central place where people know where they can find all of those different food shares. I haven't been able to, but I really like going downtown with Food Not Bombs and doing their Friday night dinners together. I love doing things like that. So there are things where people are trying to, help out and get those. But for those who still want to go shopping, a lot of these things too have to do with corporate greed. We have seen articles where people have said, the price of eggs went up, but actually somebody said this is ridiculous, and they just slashed the prices the next day. Like they are able to do that. It is not necessarily on legislation. What we can do is incentivize for corporations to keep, the cost of food and things like that within the state of Florida, and maybe even small businesses and small business-owned grocery stores that we have, corner stores. We can incentivize for them to keep their prices low for those people that live close to them, so that everyone is able to afford food. Because food stamps are going to have to go up if food goes up. This is just, that's, you have to think about, which means that we're pouring more money into a thing that we should just go directly to the source and talk to them about. And so that is something, but there's relief dollars out there federally that our governor just needs to accept. And that can get us on a good foot. Yep, that's a whole other thing where there are relief dollars.
It makes me sick, and it's right now. I feel like as a Republican, I'm so embarrassed by the party, and I know that sounds really horrible to say, but I really am. Looking at all the things that could be done, and instead of them really trying to help people, We've just messed things up. I'm just going to say it like that. And which leads me to my last and final question. There's a lot of black men out there that are like, Trump, you know, and they're like straight Republican, and they feel like, you know, this whole process with women being in office and the whole thing, it's almost as if they really believe that they're a different color than what they are. So what is your message to them right now? Because it's kind of scary to me that we have to even give a message. But what message can you give to them as to why they should vote for you?
Yeah. Well, like I said before, Trump supporters love me. Actually, oddly enough, but it goes back to there was a white man that I sat at a bar with and was talking to, and he was like, I can still vote for you even if I vote for Trump. I was like, you can. And he was like, it's because you're genuine and you care about people. And that's what I want them to remember. Like, you need to care about and think about not just yourself. This is about your family. This is about establishing legacy and community. Bring it back to thinking about that. Whoever is in charge needs to be somebody who has your best interests at heart. I am saying that I know that Black men are dying younger at higher rates from things like heart disease and things like that. I am saying I want to be able to give you access to healthcare so that you don't have to worry about going right back to work the next day after you had a mini heart attack because you wanted to stay in shape and go play basketball. I want to be able to make sure that y'all have healthcare checkups all the time, and that your mental wellness, that there is a collaborative mental wellness that works for you and not just a overarching go see that lady and sit on her couch. Like, that is what I'm proposing. That's why. That's not the only reason you should vote for me. That is one of the top reasons you should vote for me. I have always just been someone that's been all about my brothers, though. We didn't even get to talk about really my work on public safety that much and criminal justice,
so,
and how
let's take a quick break. We got to take another break.
Yeah.
This summer, join the Lemonade Stand Boot Camp, a transformative program for disadvantaged youth unlocking the path to financial literacy and economic empowerment. It's been proven that when people have the tools needed to become financially stable, they are more likely to invest in their future. A passionate group of Black business leaders and entrepreneurs have united with a common goal to uplift the knowledge and the mindset of the underprivileged, starting with our youth. Through education, encouragement, and empowerment, we're providing the knowledge needed to build legacies and become financially free business owners. But we can't do this alone. If you would like to contribute as a volunteer, sponsor, or simply by donating, please visit www.lemonadestandbootcamp.com or call 850-361-8829. Be a part of the solution. Be the bootstraps. Contact us today. BantuCola, the heartbeat of the Black community. We're not just a directory, but we're the largest Black directory on the Gulf Coast. We're your trusted source for Black business news and a hub for thriving Black businesses. We stand as a staunch advocate championing the rights of Black businesses, steadfastly ensuring they receive fair treatment. We actively engage with and address political issues that impact both the Black community and Black business enterprises. Join BantuCola, where our mission is to rebuild, revive, and recondition our community. Let's spread Black wealth and reshape our futures together. BantuCola, where information meets empowerment. BantuCola. Be Black, buy Black, think Black. For more information, go to BantuCola.com. And we are back with Black Showcase. Now, listen, guys, Haley is giving the information, okay? She's talking about all the stuff that we need to know concerning who to vote for, why to vote for them, as far as she's concerned. So let's go back and listen into this conversation, and we're going to talk about things that we missed out on. So what was some of the things that I missed out on in talking with you concerning that you want to talk about for sure?
No, I really just wanted to go back talking about my criminal justice my background in working in public safety and also police accountability. I am not going to say that every Black man, right, is going to run into police at some point in time, but it is higher rates that you are, and that it could be for the smallest of things that you're arrested. And also, so one of the things that's really close to my heart is making sure that we vote yes on Amendment 3. Amendment 3 is legalizing marijuana in small amount. This is more than just the issue of being able for adults to, you know, happily be able to go to a dispensary and buy a little bit of weed, but also this is a public safety issue to me, and it's also a job creation issue for me. One thing about that is, public safety wise, it's also a healthcare issue, right? We have not had access to medical marijuana, and people don't have the money necessarily to get their marijuana card who may need it. This is going to be able to give folks that access that was not there initially. Public safety wise, we in criminal justice, we have so many people that are filling up our jails actually, and the reason why they keep pouring money into jails and not necessarily pouring it back into our youth and our young adults is because we're filling them up with people having petty amounts of marijuana. They're getting pulled over. They not only have the petty amounts of marijuana, but they're getting their license taken. They're being charged with like a DUI or criminal possession. And then they have to jump through so many loops and hoops and things like that. And they don't have a driver's license. Well, we live in North Florida, where if you don't have a car and public transportation is, you know, not the best, you can't get around to a job. And so not being able to really get a job that pays to help you sustain your family is on the horizon. And we've just seen all of these things connect. About, what is this, 2024? Back in 2019, I was in the front to help organize with a family of Tamar Crawford. Tamar Crawford was killed by Pensacola Police Department because they said they smelled marijuana coming from his car. He pulled up to his house. He was on a low-speed chase, however that works. He pulled up at his house. They killed him in front of his stepchildren and his partner. And this all stemmed from, they knew who he was, so they targeted him. And also, they said that they smelled marijuana, but they didn't know if he had medical marijuana in him or not. So this saying yes on 3 and also getting the right legislators in place to pair with that is to regulate and make sure that corporations don't take advantage of it being legalized, but also that people are being let out of jails and prisons for this small crime that we have now legalized for people to make a bank off of. So I have a history, like I said, with that and fighting on the forefront of that and that accountability. That's actually how I got to be I was part of our civilian review board, our advisory committee for about 9 months. And then I was appointed to our Human Relations Commission from there because of that work.
So let's go back to the weed thing, because Amendment 3 kind of scares me. I've watched what happened in Colorado, and I've watched what happened also in California. And I really, really, really believe that some of the crime rate that's going on right now is because they've legalized certain things when it comes to like marijuana. Now, I don't have a problem with medical marijuana. I think that that's something that we need to have because some folks need to smoke it. I ain't trying to be funny, God.
It's true.
But there are some people that just want the opportunity to be able to smoke weed. Like, so, okay, for example, where I live right now, and I won't say exactly where I live, but in my place of where I live, all you smell in the morning time and in the evening time is weed. And on Sunday, a couple of days ago, I was had an event and I was putting stuff back up in the house, and there was these young kids. They could not have been no more than about 16 years old, and they had it wrapped up and they inside of their because they not just only smoked the weed, but they also smoked I don't know how they're able to get their hands on it either, those cigars, and they put it in a cigar and was smoking, and you can smell the whole thing. And there was a woman in the car with them, and it was like, wait, you're a grown woman and you're allowing these kids to smoke this weed. And it's just like, well, I don't want to see our people get, because everyone believes that it's okay, but there's still a health risk. Like, it's just like, it's worse than smoking a cigarette. It's still bad for your lungs, all that kind of stuff. So my question becomes, like, when it comes to voting for this, how is that going to create a destructive aspect also? And then, like, right now, like, you're looking at California, you got all these young people, right, that are going in and stealing and stuff from the stores. I may be completely wrong, Haley, and if I am, please forgive me. But I really believe that some of that is coming from these kids being on drugs, and they're trying to figure out how to get their next fix, and they're using their whole taking and mobbing a store and stealing what they can so they can go and get what they need to get and be able to smoke or whatever. And so I'm really concerned that if we allow Amendment 3 to take place where anybody can just have it, that it's going to create more of a problem than it's going to be a help. So explain to me how it's going to really help the community if we vote yes on that.
So with Amendment 3, and I'll go back to, like, just being someone on the ground and what I've observed too with drug use, is that marijuana is it's the small peon in all of this, right? We are talking about, like, the way that this, like I said, it can create more jobs for people who may want to be in that market, and it'll expand us so that we can put a tax on things to be able to invest back. Imagine, just dream with me for a second.
I'm gonna try.
Imagine that we took a percentage of those taxes and reinvested into education for people for responsible use, because this is to pass for responsible adult use, which means there will be penalizations. There will be fines and things like that if somebody finds out that underage smoking is happening. We're just gonna have to be honest about it. Not that I want to feed into the prison industrial complex or anything like that, but that's where we're at, because that's the nation we're in. So there's going to be penalizations for that, but being able, and I do know right now that the dispensaries, they're kind of on lock. They can't go out to the communities necessarily and teach about, like, what's the best, what is the difference between medical and, just adult recreational use, things like that. But this will kind of loosen that up so that they can be in the communities to talk about this. And my prayer is that it helps if we're able to incentivize and put that back. But going further down that rabbit hole too, I am with you around talking about, like, what it is that people are doing to get their next fix and things like that. But it's not weed. We're looking at a really big issue with opioids right now. Pill popping, fentanyl, all of these things are actually happening right under our nose. I was just talking the other day about, I'm a DJ, so I periodically get to go into the club and kind of just hang out and see what's going on with folks. But there was a younger crowd out this one particular night, and I'm just looking at the crowd and they look like zombies. And it was because of, like, certain things that they had taken. I really hope that we are expanding around, like, fighting back and doing preventative measures around that. We know that the DARE model didn't help necessarily, but we got to figure out what's the best model that is going to work against those things, because we have lost so many young folks to bad pills. I'm actually going to go pick up some Narcan from one of our local folks that work with like our methadone clinic to go put at the different clubs, because we want to be ready in case an emergency happens. We don't want overdoses, but we do have to take that step further and figuring out what it is that's happening with our young adults and our teenagers, where they're getting like these bad drugs. It's not necessarily that it's new, but it is very much highlighted right now, and the numbers are going up. So I think that there is use for us legalizing, like, it's small amounts of recreational marijuana, right? I think that there is something for that, as long as it is also paired with the people who are going to hold the right people responsible, and the folks who are going to get out and make sure that they're educating folks on the block about what responsible use looks like.
Okay. Because that, like I said, that has been a concern of mine for a while. And it's just like, I don't want to see Amendment 3 take place and then we have this whole epidemic because of all the things that have been going on. And then, like, we already have an issue with crime now, so I don't want to see that be something that we have to deal with even more so because of all the things that are happening. So maybe that's my ignorance in looking at it in those terms, and I have no problem with admitting when I'm wrong. I really do not. But I just want to make sure that that's a conversation that we also have as far as that's concerned and how that can work. And then there's something else that you said that we had not talked about, and you mentioned it, but I can't remember what it was. Give me one second. Okay, so we talked about the judicial system just a little bit, right? And then after this, because I know I can't keep you forever, the judicial system, there's a lot of unfairness that does take place, not just with the police, but also with the courts and with everything. Most of the judges that they had on the ticket, I voted against. It was just like, I didn't want to vote for them. Honestly, don't know who to vote for, because it is a known fact that African Americans get a harder sentence than any other group of people. And so my question becomes, like, when it comes to the judicial system and having to write some of the laws and having to deal with the police and all that kind of stuff, not that the police are bad, because there are really good police officers and really good sheriffs out there. They really care about the community. But when you have one bad apple or one person that doesn't do what they're supposed to do correctly, it does taint the rest of it. So my question becomes, as a person that is running an office, if you get in office, how do we fix some of those laws that is causing the problem with African Americans? And then there's another twist on that. So keep that one in mind real quick. But then the second part is, we have so many people that have lost their right to vote because of the laws that we have in place. So how do we fix that as well, so that we can get the laws fixed for not just African Americans, because there's a lot of people like that have lost their rights to vote. How do we get that fixed? Because a lot of them, they don't even know how much money, from what I remember, they didn't know how much money people owed in order for them to get their rights back. So how do we get that fixed as a lawmaker or a person that's going to be in your position?
Yeah. So as of right now, there is a proposed block for civilian review boards. I take plenty of joy, but also maybe no joy in saying that I'm a part of the reason why that is trying to be blocked. Advisory police review boards, where civilians are part of the rules and regulations for their local sheriff's departments and police departments like that. I think we should absolutely have representatives on the ground that are a part of that and that are reviewing cases. Because I was one of the people that demanded back in 2020 that we have one up here in Pensacola. Alex was a co-sponsor of some of the bills after that, which got me really personally associated to some of these things. But there is right now a proposal to get rid of those. I once you actually, I won't say necessarily mandate, but I think that there is a way to legislate that, you know, if people choose to have these review boards where civilians, folks in the community want to be a part of making the rules for their local communities, being able to see who's being discriminated against right there on that street level, that they should be able to be a part of that process. That is how we get to like a better space there. So that's one thing that I've really been toying around with in my mind, and I think some other people have been thinking about too, that'll be taking offices. The other thing, I was a person who was on the ground door knocking the year that we passed the Amendment 4 of 2018, which was to give people that had felonies their voting rights back. So also a very personal thing to me, right? Because my ex-husband, he fought to get his rights back after having juvenile charges. So that was, you know, really, really important to us. And so like moving forward, there is a fines blockage right now, which basically preys on people that they have to pay all these fines and fees before they can get their rights back. I don't think that's right. And I'm willing to go to Tallahassee to fight back against that, actually, because it also dilutes like our voice. It takes away a lot of our voice, and the people who are the most impacted by the laws and the things that are happening at the statewide level, right? So yeah, that is definitely right there.
Especially when you have an ex-president that has like 5,000 felonies, okay, and then he can come to Florida and have the right to vote. I'm still trying to understand that whole process of how
can he vote?
I think
I guess he has the money to pay his fines and fees.
Not even that. From what I was listening to on the news, and I may be wrong, but the news said that as long as he was out of the state of New York and he lives in a different state, he has the right to vote in that state, which makes no sense to me. If you're a felon, you're a felon in New York, you should be a felon in Florida. So, you know, those are my thoughts concerning that. But yeah, we'll leave that there for right now.
But no, you're not wrong, because if someone gets their driver's license suspended for a felony or a misdemeanor in another state, their license is also suspended in the next state they go to. So it should be, you know, it's either not or it's all, right? It's like
that's how that I thought that's how it worked, but apparently, you know, yeah, we're gonna leave that right there for right now. But yes, okay, so if someone wants to donate to your to you running, how can they do that? Let's get that.
They can go to www.runlikehale.com, and there is a donate button right there on the site. You can actually also go to actblue.com and just type in Haley, Haley, Morissette, and you'll see me, Florida State House HD1, come up, and you can donate that way. Okay.
And if someone wants one of your signs,
yes. If they want signs, they can get, so I have the really cool Panhandle Slim signs on the website, and that is a fundraiser in itself. So it's $25, and I'm delivering. If you're in my district, I will go drop it off in your yard happily. But if you want like a Morissette for State House, Run Like Hell on it sign, then you just reach out to us on the website, shoot me an email or anything like that, and we will get you one.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the people that I have not asked you about?
Nothing else that I can think of. Thank you so much for having me. Remember, Haley Hale Morissette is on the ballot, Florida State House District 2, Hope Healing Healthcare for All. I will be the first Black woman to hold this seat, and I'm very much looking forward to making history with everybody.
Absolutely. That's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to just vote you in, girl.
Yay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.